So my project for today on the Camaro is removing the rear bumper cover and trying to get that apart. The goal is I want to do some paint work on it, but first I have to get it removed from the car. My only disappointment is I recently put carpet in the car and put all the interior back, and now I'll have to pull some of the interior trim back loose in order to reach the fasteners to take that trim off. But I'm going to dig in. First thing actually I have to do is remove the spare tire. If I'm going to take the rear bumper cover off, I need to start by pulling this off, and then I need to loosen the trim in this corner. Alright, let's see. There's a 7mm. Yeah, that's a 7. Alright, so we start with this one. For some reason I thought there were two of these 7mm back here, but I only see one, so loosen that up. And off it comes. And while we could disconnect all the wires and so forth, I'm not sure I want to do that right now. We'll just set things out of the way because there's really not, I can unclip them so I get a little bit more slack. And I guess take off this ground wire. We can just lay that forward and be out of the way. I don't like disconnecting all these connectors any more times than necessary, because actually every time you take a connector apart it wears, and that wear affects the life of things later on. So alright, so we'll just leave those screws in there for the moment. Then we have to get tail lights out, and I have to get this panel loose. Now let's see how hard that's going to be. Now see, this one isn't seated in all the way. This clip came out pretty easily, almost like it wasn't seated all the way. And then I need to get to the next one. I'm going to try to do this without taking the panel all the way out. See if I can get away with that. But the next clip I can see is right here. So let's see if we can get that pulled out of there. And the answer is, yeah, it's a tight squeeze, but I think I can. I want to get these apart without tearing the whole front end out. Ooh. There we go. If I can get my arm in here, I think we'll be okay. The bolts look pretty good, but I'm going to put some penetrating oil on just for good measure. And in the meantime, I need to start taking out the tail lights, and they have a number of these screws. I'll start here. You'll end up with all of these little nuts to get the tail light out. In this car I have this nice little IROC license plate thing. I'm just going to tip up. This one has 5, not 4. Alright, so I got the tail light loose. I just need to take these lights out. and make sure I remember which ones go in. So there's a backup turn signal, and a regular tail light. So let's see, this one, like so. Okay, one there. Just release the latch and turn them. This one at the end, which is the parking light, or marker light, I should say. Okay. Alright, that one's done. Yep, there are 5 of these screws holding the tail light in. For some reason when I went by the first time it looked like there were 4 and I missed one. It comes off a whole lot easier if you don't miss any. Okay. Need to make sure that these bulbs stay in order so that they go back in the right spot. I don't see anything on them that says which socket they're supposed to be. They look pretty much identical. So I have a temptation, I'll probably come back with some tape. Just label the harnesses to make sure that in the process of me putting things on and off I don't miss something. Alright, then with the taillights out of the way, this panel can stay. I have that custom license plate bracket. I've removed that to get it out of the way. So there are 3 bolts, and there will be 3 bolts on that side. And then on the top here, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the plastic pin arrangements. And I think there's supposed to be another one here, but it looks to me that they ran power to the license plate light through that one. There's one missing there. Doesn't look like it's hurting anything, so I'll have to pull those. And then on the bottom, well, we'll get to that. There are a couple more screws on the bottom. But this one looks like it should come off quite a bit easier than the front one did. But I'll just need to start, I'm going to start pulling those plastic pins out. So those are 10 millimeter, that's not too bad. Let's see if those will come off. Put a little penetrating oil on these just for good measure, but they're in pretty good shape. The interior, this is nice and dry and there's no rust. Not sure how the ones on the other side will do on the left, because can't really get a look down inside here, but down in this corner the wiring harness comes through the body and there's a big grommet. And the grommet is not in place, it's popped out. and I had tried to pull it in from the inside and I couldn't do it. I think it has run for many years with that grommet out, and so some moisture. There's really no rust in here, but it has had a little bit of moisture back in this back corner. I think because that grommet's been open, there probably was a little spray to get in. Let's see if I can see how we do there. First one's okay. Just goes to show, though, how much this car was protected from being out in the weather. You know, the idea that you had a main body sealing grommet. I mean, that grommet is what? It's you know, 1.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. There's a pretty good sized hole in the back here. We didn't get enough moisture in here to make anything rust. Screwdriver under it and work it. There it goes. Some of these go nice and easy. Some of them are kind of difficult, so there's one. Just lift the pin and out it should come. There we go. I'm just going to keep working my way across and get those out of here. This side's a little tougher to show and get on camera. I've got the front of the car elevated so the back's a little closer to the ground. I could probably get my jack stands and jack out, but if I can get it apart without going through that, I'm going to do it. So right now, just to be clear, we're in the back corner and there's a screw right here where the rear cover hits the next panel to the front there, the lower extension off the fender. So I need to pull that one, and then of course there's one on the opposite side. So that's up, you know, up in the back, and then along the back here there's another whole row of these plastic pins to pull out. And I'm going to say there's probably another 2, 3, I don't know, there's 5 or 6 or back there. And so I'm going to go get those next. And so these in the corners, these are our standard good old 7mm with a sheet metal screw on the car side. Another one of those threaded U-clips. So we got that. Yeah, a couple more turns here. There we go. Okay, so that's free. That's starting to move. Alright, well, I'm going to get the other side and then pull the plastic pins and we'll see where we're at. I have the three nuts off from the inside. There's 1, 2, 3. There's a 7mm from the bottom right there. There's, get the taillights off, and then there's a half a dozen plastic ones here and another and then I end up with 5 on the bottom, across the bottom this way. My IROC-Z plaque here that's attached to the original license plate bracket. I had to disconnect the wires because they go through one of the holes. And all my lights are disconnected and labeled. So let's see if it'll come off. I think it should. I'm going to lift here.
said, I've got wires here, so I want to get that one up. Get the wires through that way. Lift that one. That seems to be coming loose. Seems to be alright. Pick that up a little. Drop it. Nice and easy, nice and easy. Okay. There we go, that one looks pretty good. I had a grommet that was out of position. And that's this one right here. Make sure that it's got wire wrapped around it, or a tape wrapped around it. It doesn't look like it's damaged. I was a little bit worried that it might get cut on the edge of the... So let's see if we can plug this guy back in where it belongs. Like that, there we go. Couldn't do that from the front, but... Alright, well, while things are apart, I'll probably try to clean up some of the grime off the back of here. I know it'll get grimy again, but... Alright, part looks generally in good shape. Time for me to start doing some cleaning and prep. Very good, very good. Take these out in the yard and hose them off, actually.